Hey you guys, it's your girl Latifah Gazelle. Today I'm gonna do a quick little story time, nothing major, just speaking on teenage pregnancy because as most of you may know, I was a teenage mom. I had my daughter a week after graduation when I graduated from high school. I got pregnant with her the summer of 11th grade going to 12th. I was currently out of school because I had dropped out at the end of my 11th grade year because I felt like it was too much on me because I was working two jobs. I was helping my mom pay bills, and I just didn't care for school at the time. But when I found out I was pregnant, of course I told my daughter's father. He was kind of cool with it. He told his mom or whatever. He was actually older than me. I want to say he was 20, possibly 20 or whatever. But I didn't tell my mom right away because I was afraid of what she would think. So instead of telling her, I went away. I went the wrong way about it, pretty much. I decided to, pick an argument, and in the middle of the argument, I just up and said I wanted to move out. So eventually I moved out, but when I moved out, I didn't have a plan. So when I say I didn't have a plan, that means I was homeless for about a month and a half. And then one day I was working at McDonald's through the drive-thru, and a girl was talking to her friend in the passenger side of her car, and she said that she was looking for a roommate. So, I butt in the conversation. I was like, hey, I got a job. I can be your roommate. So let's fast forward. I moved in with her, and then I used to get WIC or whatever for my daughter, and, I never told my roommate that I was pregnant. So one day while I was at work, I guess she went in the room and she seen my WIC paperwork or whatever. So when I came home that day, I was staying at her place. I came home. She was like, "Hey, you didn't tell me you was pregnant. You can't stay here. I don't allow kids in my house." So I ended up back homeless again. I was staying with my daughter's father on and off at his mom's house. It was some days where I was sleeping on a Walmart bench at night. And a lot of people don't know this story because I don't broadcast it. I don't feel like it's something that should be, just, hey, I was homeless type thing. But my mom eventually found out, like right around, I was probably 6 months or whatever. But she didn't find out from me. And she was hurt by it. It made her cry. And I think it made her more, sad, the fact that I didn't tell her, that she had to hear it from the neighbor down the street through her son. So it was hearsay, but it was true. So when she finally asked me about it, it was more so like, hey, I heard you was pregnant. But I was showing by then, so I just had to go ahead and tell her yeah, I'm pregnant, and that was pretty much it. I mean, seeing her cry broke my heart. So now I was pregnant, in high school, a senior, and homeless. And I also worked pretty much a full-time job because I was working 40 hours a week during the nights after school or whatever. I was getting Medicaid, so not Medicaid. Yeah, I was getting Medicaid for my the pregnancy part, so that helped a little bit. I was getting WIC, so that helped with food. I was literally overloading on cereal. I eventually moved into my own apartment with my child's father. We stayed there together, but it was in my name. I was going to the doctor in the next city over because where I lived at, it didn't have a OB office, and I probably made it to 4 of those appointments out of the whole 9 months. I went to my very first appointment, but it wasn't really an appointment because it was at the health department. Because mind you, I was 17 and I didn't know what to do after I found out I was pregnant. So I didn't go to my appointments for the first 6 months, and that 6th month that I went, that's when I found out I was having a girl. So the 9 months of my pregnancy went by completely fast. I was in school during the daytime, and I was working at nighttime. I would catch the bus in the morning to school, and I would walk 2 miles every day after school because I was on a work release thing where you only you only go to school half the day and then you go to work afterwards, and you got credits for it. I felt like I was alone, even though I had my child's father, there at the house with me. We were I felt like we were just together. Okay, let's fast forward to the day I went into labor. I was headed to Walmart to send my sister money because she was supposed to graduate that following week after. Must I remind you, I had just graduated a week before from high school. So on my way back from sending my sister some money, I stopped at the Burger King that was on the way to my house. So as I get in Burger King, I feel a little trickle down my leg. And I was like, crap, did I pee on myself again a little bit? Because it had happened prior to that. Yeah, I actually pissed on myself. So when I was in line, the manager, who was my manager before at while I was working at McDonald's, now worked at Burger King, it was like, don't go into labor in here, just joking and laughing or whatever. So I get to the counter to place my order, and I feel another trickle. And in my head, I'm thinking, dang, I hope nobody see the piss on the back of my pants. So I get my food, I sit down in the booth, and then next thing you know, a gush of water just went all over my clothes in the booth. My water broke. So at that moment, my friend Lanisha had gave me a ride home, and I had it was one of those little Obama phones where it had like 60 minutes on it. I used the little minutes that I had on it. I called my daughter's father. I was like, because he worked at Walmart at the time. So I was like, hey, my water just broke. I'm at the house. Get here now. So he ran to the house, and he got there pretty fast. You know, he was a track star and all that extra stuff. So he got there pretty fast. We called the ambulance from there. We got to the hospital. I was in labor for 19 hours, y'all. 19 hours. I ended up getting an epidural. I planned on doing it natural, but no offense to all the females that want to go natural and want to do all that, but to me that was like the dumbest decision I ever made, trying to go natural. I ended up getting an epidural right at 7 centimeters. Kennedy came maybe like 4 hours after that. She was 5 pounds and beautiful baby, and yeah, that was pretty much that whole escalade. Me and my daughter's father, we did get married a couple of months after having Kennedy. I joined the Army a little after that. Unfortunately, our relationship didn't work. We didn't work. I mean, I still got much love for him. He's a great dad. It's just that, you know, people grow out of love sometimes. But if I have anything to say regarding teenage pregnancies and teenage sex and stuff like that, I would say wrap it up. If anything, if you're going to have sex, use protection, use birth control, because anything can happen. You could get pregnant. Most of all, you get an STD. You can get AIDS, HIV. You could get stuff that you can't give back, and that will change your life drastically. I don't regret my daughter, and you know, I love her to death, but if I could change a couple of things, I probably would have waited until I was married to have kids. Like, having my daughter at a young age it humbled me, but it made me realize that I wasn't ready to be a parent at such a young age, and that I needed to stop trying to keep up with the next person. But it did allow me to grow up faster than others. Most of all, now that I've experienced being a teen parent and going through all that turmoil and stuff, I have daughters of my own now, and I don't want them to follow in the footsteps that I chose to take. You know what I mean? I don't want them being teenage moms. I want them to live their life to the best of their capabilities, because I love them to death, but I didn't get a chance to be a kid longer. You know what I mean? I had to be that adult while I was still a kid. And I don't want that for my kids. And I don't want that for other people's kids. But, you know, people make mistakes. Some things happen. Some things you can't take back. And I hope that y'all got something out of the message out of my story pretty much. But, you know what? Y'all have a good day. And I'll see you next time.